This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for your patience for being here at this time. I understand there was a little bit of traffic issues on the way in, so I'm grateful that you arrived safely. And for those of you who are online, hello, thank you for being here. We will make sure to add this video to YouTube as best as possible, just like the previous meeting, so that you all can recap. So just to keep things as best as possible on schedule, you should be out of here around 2:15. So some things might be a little accelerated, but we will do the best we can. Recaps from our previous meeting, and make sure you please sign in. We got to get it for attendance purposes. But from our previous meeting, we agreed that we would be doing these at the end of every month, the last Wednesday. There are always multiple times available, both in person and remotely, for anyone to be able to participate. It's open to the volunteer tutors as well as volunteers for the office at all of our locations. We also discussed the possibility of having lead tutors, which I would like us to make sure that we select that today, or lead volunteers. People you're able to meet with and converse about your particular level or experiences, as well as be able to have observations and more guidance. We also welcomed 6 new volunteers, one of which is an office volunteer, and 5 new instructors who will be starting their classes this week and in future weeks. Thank you so much. And we had a discussion about developments with the curriculum, observations about potential ways to be able to navigate that and things of that sort. I will share a little bit more about that towards the end, but I want to make sure to get into some of the things that are associated with being in an environment that is as diverse as ours. But before that, I just want to give you a little bit of a reminder that per last meeting and your feedback from the feedback surveys, it was an overwhelming amount of you who provided information saying that you do prefer to have things provided in writing and or via email to you. The link for today's meeting and all details concerning it were provided at least 3 times previously in writing and or via email. And we still had an overwhelming amount of frustrated people who said they weren't informed. Not being able to read is the thing that we do focus on with our students, but my expectation of our volunteers is a bit different. It concerns me that I meet your need and you still don't read. So I'm having a little bit of hard time trusting the integrity of you guiding them in the right direction if you're not reading what I'm doing to meet your need. So I do want you to provide me with a solution that works best for you so that I can meet and or exceed that need, just as we discussed in the previous one. There have been improvements, and I'm thrilled about that. I can see now that we have moved our newsletter to a more refined platform that there is an increase in people selecting it to open it and read it. But we will go over today during the presentation just some tips on how to appropriately navigate it, as there might be things that you weren't aware of and just weren't comfortable sharing. It just makes it easier for everyone to learn together. That just makes it a safer and more comfortable environment. So speaking of safety and comfortable environment, we are that type of environment, both here in Sugar Land and all of our outreach locations. And we are fully aware that our administration has had a change. There are things that are coming up in the news that can be quite confusing, quite disturbing, and a little bit difficult to track. I want to provide you with a very topical understanding of what the proper policies and procedures are. But I want to also encourage you that if you have individual concerns, that we take time to make sure to meet one-on-one. This isn't the most conducive environment for that, as this can be very emotional for some when communicating. You might have a more intimate relationship with those who might possibly be impacted by the initiatives of ICE. And I don't want to put you in a position where you're in front of people and you do like I did last night and I heard something good and I burst into tears. It was good stuff, but you don't know what your emotions will do. So we're going to take a brief moment to move over to another tab. And those of you who are attending online, I will make sure to provide all of these as links in next week's newsletter so that you can take it at your own pace to read the information that's within it. So I'm just going to shimmy around here as best as possible. And I do appreciate you accepting the mild unprofessionalism of the shoes I have on right now, but most of you know that I'm in physical therapy and things. My office is very cold. So my joints are a little tight right now. So this is not information that was drawn up from informal location. Anything that ends with a .org in most cases, as anyone can purchase a domain name and make it whatever they want. But in most cases, anything that is .org is official business from the ACLU, and this is specifically for Texas. With us being right by the border, there are quite a bit of concerns about how this could necessarily impact us, be it a workplace, a home facility, or any other sort. So I just want to make sure to acknowledge the area that refers to ICE at your workplace and ICE while you're working. Again, this will be provided as something for you to read on your own time next week. So ICE is the organization that is responsible. Yes?
Can you make that? Are we supposed to be reading it, or are you going to read it?
No, ma'am. I'm gonna. This is a tough view. This is even tough for me standing up.
Yeah.
We have adjusted it a few times, but this is a positive reflection of the necessity of our capital campaign, ladies and gents. The efforts that we put forth, both as staff, volunteers, and just the people in the community, just charging forth, letting them know that those resources financially help us build upon more accessible information. Because I got bifocals and I'm standing by it and I'm still having a hard time. But yes, I will make sure to provide it so that you can dive into it at 110% or 150 if you need. But some key things that we want to call out, everyone. The first and most important thing to do is to stay calm. Just because they are an official organization, without proper warrant and or summons, they cannot just barge in and scare everyone half to death. If it is too much for you to stay calm, find someone who can so that you can safely put yourself somewhere where you can process the experience. Don't open the door. Just because they are present does not mean we have to have them in the classrooms. They can come into the facility as the door has to remain unlocked. That is the legal protocol. But we do not have to allow them into any classrooms.
So they can come in this building?
Given the circumstance, it is a public accessible place. We cannot specifically tell them not, but closed facilities such as individual offices, conference rooms and classrooms and the like, yes, we can. We have the authority to be able to close those doors. Yes.
What is ICE?
So it is an acronym. And I'm just going to sum it up quickly as saying Border Patrol. So it is specifically for immigration purposes, yes, but we most often refer to it here in Texas as Border Patrol. It does more than that. There are more facets, but that's the most topical way to safely approach. If they do not have a warrant signed by a judge, you have the authority to say, I do not give you permission to enter this building. Now, if they've come in because someone was unaware, we still have, I do not give you the permission to come into this room. That's still effective. And if they enter by force, of course, you do not interfere or resist, but you do still have rights. You have the right to take out your phone and record the officers as long as you do not interfere with what is occurring. Much the same if they come to a home or other areas in which people are working, the officers are free to leave or to go back to work if this occurs. They will tell you to not speak with anyone regarding what has occurred if somebody has been removed, but that's a very intense circumstance. You want to ensure that your students are aware that their immigration papers need to be valid. In some instances, which might come as a shock to you, the birth certificate is necessary as well. You look at me and you see a Black woman, but I am biracial. And I have been interacting with ICE before, many years ago. My hair used to be blonde and it still is on my arms. I look very much more Hispanic then than I do now. And sometimes your birth certificate might be the appropriate document for those who are actually citizens to substantiate their citizenship.
But is that, I don't know the status of my students.
And you should not, but having conversations about, please make sure that you have all of your paperwork maintained. That's sufficient.
But not on their person.
On their person would be necessary in these new administrative circumstances. Yes, ma'am. The actual original documents.
So when they register.
Yes, ma'am. No, these are great questions.
When they registered here, do they have to show, if they don't have to be citizens or have proper documentation? I
They
mean,
have
I
to
don't-
provide us, we're gonna talk
I
about
think they
that,
have to provide a
photo ID,
photo ID and a bill or something,
proof of residency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So proof of residency as well as photo ID, either a driver's license or their passport, so long as it's not expired, is still sufficient. Not everyone produces documents of income because not all are working, and some omit that and decide to pay our full registration and enrollment fee of $250.
So
But we
should-
do not retrieve those documents from them.
Okay.
Yep.
Because my 3 students are all from different countries,
Mhm.
and I should say,
In
make
these
sure-
times, you want to make sure that you maintain your immigration documents, that they're valid, and that you keep your originals with you. That's a professional and straight to the point response.
What if they're already citizens?
If they're already citizens, they might want to consider having a copy of their birth certificate with them.
Well, they might have been.
Why would the birth certificate not be their citizen?
Because I'm a citizen who was pulled over and was asked where I was born, and I was born in Texas, a state that borders Michigan, in a hospital that no longer exists. And my birth certificate substantiated that I am an actually born, bred, Texas-fed citizen. That there is a gentleman who was in the Boston who is African-American, and he was detained, and he's been a citizen his whole life, but his birth certificate substantiated that no, he was not born in Jamaica as they assumed by looking at him. It's a prickly pear. But we want to navigate it as professionally as possible without diving too deeply into their individual experiences. Yes, please.
Their birth certificate or like they're naturalized.
Yes, ma'am. So birth certificate or naturalization documentation. You'll want to go to that one over there.
Or citizen.
Yes, no.
Copy of the passport.
What I was gonna add to it in the
You might as well say.
information that I'm staying abreast to is to make sure that you also are keeping them aware that they need to have it saved. That's the reason I said a copy too, if it has a seal, if the original has a seal, because they don't want someone to take it and they
Yes.
not have access to it anymore.
Yes.
So there has to be a second means of identification, whether it's a jump drive and they're saving it to it so that it's digital, as well as if they have a folder for copies.
So it is an intense topic, and I don't mean to go, this is the information and onward, but that was the information and onward. Individual conversations for more detailed concerns and observations. We absolutely want to make sure to communicate. I will also be able to provide as often as we receive proper information, not just I heard from a friend, but actual substantiated information. I will make sure to incorporate that into our newsletters as it's necessary. I know it's scary and concerning, but I look forward to those individual conversations with you all and keeping you abreast as much as possible. So now that we have done the freaky scary part, if we can go to the next chat, Ms. Crystal, let's kind of decompress some of that stress and go with a little bit of volunteer Jeopardy. So these are things that are situated to our organization. If you can click start for me, I'm just gonna go around a little bit. We're gonna do this from now until about the 32-minute mark, because I want to make sure you have a lot of time to digest other things. So we have About Literacy Council, programs and services, volunteerism, literacy facts, and engagement. I know this is Jeopardy, but standing here, I feel like Vanna White. So it's a little bit of a hybrid experience, if you will. May I please have someone select a topic and a number? I know it's hard to see. I do deeply apologize. All right.
Literacy facts for 300.
Literacy facts for 300, please. We have, how many adults in Fort Bend County are estimated to need literacy support? Ooh, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Nobody else raised it. 19% of Fort Bend County cannot read above the 3rd grade level.
Let's go ahead and click it to see. You just click anywhere in the box. If it doesn't treat us badly, hit space bar. You can click the space bar. So around 30,000 adults, or 19%, based on local assessments and reports from literacy organizations in the area. Anything that I provide you all is going to have the source material provided if it's a necessity, because numbers change. Good stuff. Let's hit escape. And you can do it on the keyboard if you'd like. All right, another category. Yes.
Given that this is Jeopardy, I'll just start by asking a question. This is the other way around. Anyway, oh, I'm so confused. Can I buy a vowel? So of that 30,000, are there any estimates of how many people are actually seeking to get instruction or training or whatever?
There is some information, but it wasn't incorporated in this for time-wise, but I would like to share that with you all. So I think that's something worthwhile so that you know just not the demographic, but those who are actively seeking opportunities to develop and strengthen their skills. It's a great question, Dr. Mike. Thank you. All right.
$300.
I wish. Yes, please.
Engagement, 400?
Engagement for 400. What we have here is where can you find links to our social media on our website? Oh, you know?
Where is your homepage?
Yes, that is correct. You can hit the space bar on our homepage in the upper right-hand corner. This is usually for PCs or laptops. It's a little different when you're on your smartphones. Wonderful. Yes.
I'm sorry, do we not have a Twitter? It's kind of a steaming garbage heap now.
We wouldn't want that. Not on X. Let's go to the next one. But we do have TikTok, albeit it left, it is back. All right, another subject. We've got enough time for a few more.
About Literacy Council 400.
Thank you very much. About Literacy Council 400. What is the tagline of the Literacy Council? A tagline is not the same as a motto. A motto is not the same as a tagline. Ooh, look at that. That's okay if no one knows. That's what this is for. Yes, Sally.
Changing lives.
Changing lives is correct. Listen, yeah. And you've seen it so many times, it didn't even register. All right, let's go back to the board. This is wonderful, everyone. Thank you for breaking up the tension of the previous by being open to playing something. Go ahead.
Volunteerism for 300, that's a daily double.
Volunteerism 300. How many hours a week are tutors encouraged to teach? Yes.
What is 3?
What is 3 hours a week? Yes. Wonderful. Good. I'm so sorry all of you online aren't able to play, but you can at least hear it. All right. What do we have next? I'm going to pick one. I would like to pick About Literacy Council 100. Gonna make it easy for you all. In what year was the Literacy Council of Fort Bend County established? You don't get to say you've been writing. Sally too, you can't write it either, but she said it. Do you happen to have the idea what year that is? 19, little bit older. Almost. Let's go ahead and click it. That was the closest. 1987. Yes. Some of you were done with college by that point. Some of you have children who are turning 38 this year with this. So yes. All right, let's go ahead. We got just a little bit more time to bask in more questions.
Literacy Facts 500.
Yes, ma'am. Literacy Facts 500. What rank does Texas hold nationally for the percentage of adults with low literacy skills?
Probably 50, 40.
Look at that confidence in other, probably 50. Let's see what the answer is. He said 45. Let's see what we've got. Texas ranks 46 out of 50 states in adult literacy. This came from Literacy Texas, a conference that we go to annually, and we get a lot of meeting and training from them. What's the state motto of Alabama?
Thank God for Mississippi.
Oh my goodness. We'll go ahead and hit the X on that. And then move on to a few more. We've got a little bit more.
Programs and services.
All right, thank you for that. Programs and services, what amount?
300.
300. What does ESL stand for in the Literacy Council's programs?
That was a 100.
Yes.
English is a second.
English as a second language. Yes.
That was a 100.
Yeah. You'd be shocked. Some are a little confused about the S because they've heard of TESOL and TEFL, which are certification efforts as well as a national test. So it gets a little confusing sometimes. Another for us, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Engagement for 500.
Delightful. Engagement for 500. Name one resource demonstrated in the show and tell series. I know y'all can't answer it. That was personal joy. Let's click it and see what the answer is. The first show and tell that we have, which is located on our YouTube channel, is Xfinity Internet Essentials Demo. I sat in my office during the fall and I went step by step through all the things Sally has had you all do previous academic years to show you how to motivate your students to use that platform. That resource is evergreen content. It will always be relevant and accessible for you to be able to review and encourage your students, because Comcast is a big contributor to our digital initiatives. All right, let's go back. This time I'm going to pick Volunteerism 500. How old must a tutor volunteer be to get started?
What is 18?
Let's click the thing and see if we are correct. At least 21. I'll take an 18 office, but for instruction, at least 21.
It used to be 18.
It used to be for a while.
From the past.
Yeah, and she's right, but it has changed to 21. So you're not wrong, but gone a little bit older. Wonderful. All right. We've got about enough time for 3 more, so let's make them count. Yes.
Programs?
Oh, Miss Deidre's picking.
Programs and services 500?
Yes, ma'am. Programs and services 500 for citizenship students. We recommend that they do this at least once with Miss Marvelyn. Yes.
Meet with her before they go take their test.
For what purpose?
Well, she has.
Mock interview.
There we go. Yeah, interview purposes. Interview practice is a part of our citizenship class, which, by the way, if you were looking to expound upon your tutoring horizons, I'm very eager to have some of you join that initiative. We're pushing very, very earnestly soon. All right, 2 more.
Adult Literacy Council 500.
Thank
I want a bingo.
You want to? What is the mission of the Literacy Council? Anyone who has served, don't you dare, because we know it. Or give it just a stab and a jab. Maybe you just know 2 words that might be in it.
To get Texas off of that 47%.
Yeehaw! That's a bit of it. But beyond the folds of Texas, let's see what it is formally. The mission of the Literacy Council is to improve community, family, and professional lives through adult literacy education. So who we touch here in Fort Bend County has a ripple effect, just as anything else does. And it's just gonna grow out there. So it's a good mission to have. All right, last one. Let's go over to engagement. Engagement for 200, please. This YouTube playlist shares short videos about activities in our main office. This one you all do know.
What is around
Yeah.
the literacy?
I'll take it. Around AmeriCorps, yes. So we keep those quick videos. It just shows what's going on here in the main facility. You might hear quick snippets from staff. You might even see students who are in registration or me panicking to turn on all the lights. Every time we do it, it's something a little different. This Jeopardy is free online. It's called Jeopardy Labs. It is something that would be very innovative to use in your classrooms, especially with the classrooms being small. 1 laptop is sufficient enough, even if they can't see the screen. We're familiar with Jeopardy, but it is new to quite a few. There are other resources that we'll make sure that you're aware of as we do these little game activities, but we're staying on task and on time. Thank you for your engagement with that.
And it's where?
This is called JeopardyLabs.com, 100% free. If you do establish an account, it's $20 and it's one time forever. And you're able to store all of your past activities that you've created. There's also other free ones that are on there. We actually used this during our executive board retreat last summer as well. So we are familiar with it on the staff side, but I want you to get more excited about some of the freebies that are available to make class more innovative. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel when things already exist. And the materials that we have can easily be repurposed for this.
Is there a way, if somebody creates one, that they can share with other people in the room?
Yes, ma'am. They can share the link in our lovely forum that we're getting ready to talk about on the next tab. That's going to be this, not this one. Let's see, where did I put it? Realize your potential. Behold, the member portal. If you read this week's newsletter, then you are aware that we have a strong, long relationship with ProLiteracy. ProLiteracy provides us our books, a certification process for those who've been long-term tutors, and a host of other resources that I had to beg and plead for them to put our lovely new logo and update. We tried Facebook group, we've tried text messaging groups and emails, and that asks a lot. But for free registration, you are able to get on here and access their resources and those that you create on your own in a forum. If you can scroll down just a little bit for me, there's self-paced courses in here for you to be able to take on initiatives in terms of your own training. There's other resources such as lesson plans that correlate with the books that go with it if you do not have the teacher edition. Research, websites that go along with that, field-based resources, and it's a place for you to be able to commingle instead of just having to do this virtually or in person. It is free for you to join. And I am aware that some of you skimmed over it because I only got 3 requests to actually get the information needed to sign up. But when you do go back to your newsletter and you come down to this, it's going to ask for our organization number. At the end of today, I will provide that for you. That way, if you'd like to create or update your account, as some of you have been at other organizations and I see your old account history, then you're able to do so right in here. There are multiple forums that will be established just for us. And one of those will be a space for you to leave those links, comment on them, and provide feedback instead of emails and hoping someone has seen your message. We get very busy, both as volunteers and as staff, and I don't want to put you in a space where something was promised and you don't get it in a timely fashion when this resource lives and exists on our behalf. This is something they established for us and their other organizations, but I've been working very intimately with them about this for about a month. So I'm very excited for you to go in and start seeing it grow and be a part of that growth. Yes.
I am not very computer literate. I'm just
Thank you.
put that out there.
Oh, we're about to talk about that. Yes.
So what was the benefit if it says create a student account? My students do, but they're a lot more on it involved than I am. What do they do? What's the benefit?
Benefit for them are more studying resources instead of going around Google and not necessarily knowing if it's efficient. Being able to provide information about apps, our digital literacy coordinators and things of that sort here will be able to make video resources that can help them follow step by step with trusted and vetted apps and things of that sort that can help them, and just meeting students from other classes. Today is Lunar New Year. That's Chinese as well as a few other nations that acknowledge that. Vietnamese, Taiwanese, Korea, Indonesian. That's an opportunity for them to connect as well. So it does create a digital space for them. But the key thing that was mentioned, I'm not tech savvy. We are going to tackle that like white on rice this session.
What's the benefit for the tutors?
For the tutors, this is your pathway to being able to do more effective training. This is your targeted area for me to be able to align you with resources for your level. We have some who are basic literacy, some who are ESL. Those don't always cross over. The needs are deeply different in some ways. Being able to get the resources you need from one another there, as well as track your training, is a huge resource here. And there's certification involved, which is a part of our long-term history.
For example, last time Cheryl Bennett mentioned some cards she was using.
Mm-hmm.
She could put that resource on there.
Yes, she could.
For us. Okay.
Yes, she could.
And do the students need that same number you're going to give us?
They will need the same number. Yes, ma'am.
And the benefit of tracking tutor certification and in-service hours and any resources or training that they're learning and taking benefits us out, the organization.
Benefiting us in a way of establishing what we need for telling what we do. We are grant funded, not federally, but in-kind donations, private organizations. By being able to provide testimony of your efforts as a volunteer, it goes beyond you just showing up and turning in an attendance sheet. It goes into accruing more dollars for more development, more growth, and more, he's got an inside side on this too, yes.
Yeah, actually, if you want me to address
Go
that.
ahead.
So, I'm sort of your interim grant writer, transitioning. And one of the things that I'm constantly hounding basically everybody in the organization for is any kind of data on numbers, one, student outcomes, but also things like tutor training, anything I can put into a grant application that says say the first draft might be, oh, we have volunteer tutors. And you're like, well, that's nice, warm-hearted, generous people. I want to add to that and say, yes, we have volunteer tutors that dedicate, this number of hours per week. This percentage has this level of certification or so many hours of training, et cetera. All that really goes to strengthen a grant in a way that you're saying, well, we have wonderful volunteers, which we do, but when you're trying to get money out of somebody, you want to put as much evidence behind that as you can. So this is perfect. And if it's an easy to use portal, the numbers will flow in and we can just grab them back out and basically support our entire mission.
And what it does is it establishes our credibility to say we're the experts in literacy, especially in Fort Bend County. That in addition to the assessments that the students take. So it's essential, as Mike is saying, for us to tell our story across all the boards that, again, supports us being the experts here.
The quality.
The quality, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely.
Also the certification, like, lends the standardized
Yes.
knowledge being shared by those
Yes.
who are
Yes.
handing it out.
So although you don't have to have experience to come in and we say we just need a commitment of 3 hours and a heart and a passion and maybe a specific interest in math or science or that sort, the resources that Ashley gives and makes available to you increases that experience and knowledge. And therefore, we're able to make a more impact with the students that come in.
So the certification program you're talking about for tutors, you can start that and you can do that on this?
There will be some parts of it that you'll do here, but moving forward, we'll do one big workshop quarterly. So I am planning based on the information they have, because they made updates since we actively utilize that. But it will be one day where we come in and we just hash it all out and you got your lovely certificate and you take the photos. But yes, ma'am, it's so much in there. But we're going to ensure, because not everyone is comfortable with technology, and we don't want to assume that you just know how to whip out your laptop or your smartphone and know how to do everything without grabbing hold of one of your grandchildren. So, I mean, it's true.
Yes.
It's the truth. We speak truth. So with that in mind, we're going to make sure that we're providing better, more step-by-step showmanship of everything. Giving it in writing is not sufficient enough. Being able to have something you can look at and pause or stop a person is very, very helpful. So a perfect example of that is I'm going to step away and I'm going to have Miss Christelle show you all two things that have been newly introduced. The digital class roster instead of just emailing you all of the information, and then how our newsletter is now. So I'm going to swap places with her, and I need you to project because they got to hear you.
So there's a digital thing where the kids can check in online, and then when at the end of the month we just set that in versus the hard copy.
Are we talking about attendance?
Yes.
Attendance is still on paper, but I'm trying really hard to make a difference.
I thought that's what you said.
No,
Okay.
ma'am,
I
but we can
misheard it.
talk more.
Okay, No, I misheard.
It's okay.
So I'm going to show you some link Ashley puts on the newsletter where you can click and it's going to open another folder.
They can't see you on this side. So you want to change your position.
Oh, okay. So let's
Wall.
click here. This is the calendar for the year. Just click on it. Okay, let's see me now. Yeah. Okay. So you have the calendar for the years, and you have the second page where you have the detail of what's going on the calendar.
And anytime it's updated, go ahead.
Yeah, so here you have the dates of the last approved, okay? So every time we have to update it, you're gonna see here the dates, we're gonna put it here. So.
But do you put it in somewhere in the writing that updated?
Yeah,
On the top
of the
Because I'm
calendar.
guilty of not opening it up.
So how do we know it's updated? How do we know we need to open it
You
up?
have to
If it's
click
open-
it, yeah,
I know,
you click on the
is there-
newsletter.
Is there gonna be like a clue that says updated?
Newsletter
page
attached.
check?
This area right here is usually
I'm
where
sorry,
we
I can't-
keep very simple
Okay,
messages.
okay,
So if
okay.
it's something of such, we let you know, please view the calendar,
Okay.
it's been updated. Yes, ma'am.
Basically, it's not gonna change if you follow Fort Bend schools, right?
We would
That
like to think
changes.
that, but there have been changes, so,
I can give
yes.
you examples.
Yes. How about you pivot to this side? Because you are right hand and you're blocking from them seeing.
Thank you.
Turn that way. There you go.
Yeah.
Yay!
So here she put some facts. So every week we have a fact here. If you click, you have another page with the detail for the facts for the week.
Where did you get that?
Here on the yellow.
Okay.
And this is still in the portal.
No,
No,
ma'am, this is your weekly
that's-
newsletter.
This is the newsletter.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's what I'm unfamiliar with because I am not used to going to the areas. So this is very helpful.
Yeah, to show you, yeah. And you have the newsletter every week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And also, if you need to schedule a one-on-one with Ashley, you just click on this email and it's gonna open the email to schedule the appointment with her. So
Or you can click where it says online
you
and
have
it
two
takes you
links.
there directly.
Mhm. And you choose, you see her calendar and you choose whatever works best for you, the time and everything.
Can you call?
If you want my undivided attention, you would definitely want to have an appointment. The amount of students who do come in and come straight into the office, I never want to divide my attention speaking to you all. It's quite disrespectful to you, regardless of how considerate you are. You're asking to meet for a reason. And if I'm answering the phone and looking at other things, you're not getting from me what you need from me. And I just don't think that's the most effective way to carry on. So I had implemented this in the fall, but we're really reinforcing it now so that you don't have any interruption when it's a moment to be able to speak with me. And these are 30-minute sessions. Of course, if you need more time, then we go about that. But I just don't want you feeling rushed nor ignored. And with the amount of responsibility that we have, me making a general note of something, it's bound to get misplaced. So being able to have that moment with you is a guarantee, minimal to no interruption, to give you what you need and expect.
I keep my talking points ready.
Yes. I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
Would we do it by Zoom?
Not a problem whatsoever. I do believe in the meeting type area, you have to be able to let me know what you need. And then if you want it in person, online, or via phone. Yep. So those needs have been met by your feedback since I joined. So we're just trying to make sure to make it just a little bit simpler. And if you're like, I'm not touching that, Aurelia is available for you to be able to schedule through her. So you do still have that person who can assist. Yep.
Oh, can you go to the bingo since that's tonight?
Yeah.
It's fun.
We have fun, yeah, we have fun here at the Literacy Council.
So this is a flyer for bingo tonight.
And it's at, what's it at?
Texas Beer Garden.
Beer Garden.
Oh.
Tonight is the
At
last.
6:30.
But
That's at
it's-
6:30.
What are the dates?
Today. Tonight.
Oh.
Yes.
And it's our final day, and so proceeds come back to the Literacy Council.
Oftentimes when we create flyers, some of you have been kind enough to let me know, that's great that you've made a flyer, but I can't get it to my students in a timely fashion. We used to attach them to the email, but now they're also here for you to be able to click and download. They are physically present in the building, but if you are an instructor at a different location and you see that this is something once monthly you'd love to share with your students, now you're not relegated to feeling like you've been left out. The information is available. This is for students, so the QR code is there for learning to see how they navigate the familiarity of that, but other things do have proper information like a name or who to contact for registration and dates and such. I'm gonna go back up to the,
Quick question.
yes.
So we had a question about the bingo night.
Mhm.
What is that about?
Ooh,
No, I didn't ask what it was about. I want to know about walking into this facility.
it's a family-oriented one despite the name of Beer Garden. So they do have regular food and non-alcoholic beverages. Yes, but it is a family-friendly. I have not physically
It's in
been.
it's in the strip center on the other side of, what is that?
Just
by?
outside
Is
of
that
Farmer
Farmer
or
or-
Highway 6.
Highway 6?
It's like a
Yes,
restaurant.
it's a restaurant.
Okay.
It's a kind of program.
And when you walk in, you never think you're.
The
you
one
think
on the
restaurant.
other side,
Family
Murphy Road,
restaurant.
you know, you got Murphy Road.
And the food's good.
That, that, right.
And the bingo was so fun. And she's very,
Yeah, it is,
slow.
but it's a little.
Takes
further
your time,
down. You're
put
going
on
in
the
the right
wall.
direction, but
So it was fun.
like maybe the next one.
The bingo card is
Okay.
6:30.
Do we have to register?
Yeah,
No, you don't have to register.
All right, everyone, I apologize for disrupting the conversation. We want to be able to ensure you got about 15 minutes for free conversation at the end. So we want to ensure to finish the training on this and one other resource.
So
Thank you for your understanding.
Let's talk about the registration for the next meeting, okay? So in the newsletter on the top, on the purple, you're gonna see the next meeting.
Next week.
So you click on the register now, and it's gonna pop up sign up Genius. That's the link we use. And you scroll down, you look for the day, and you click on sign up. Continue. And here you put the name, your name, your first name, your last name, the email, and the time you choose.
Do I need an account to use this
No, you
platform?
don't need an account.
But from personal experience, if you don't click sign up now, you didn't sign up.
I know.
That's why you have to click on sign up.
Yeah.
Also, how am I supposed to know when something is a link? It's so much stuff on here. I don't know the difference.
Yeah, when you use your mouse, you're gonna see a hand. If you see a hand, you can click on it. But if it's the arrow, sometimes it's the arrow too. But
Well,
most
how
of
do
the
I
time
know
it's
what
gonna
I'm
be hand.
looking for? If it's gonna be something where it's I don't know what that is.
It's underlined.
Ah, so anything underlined is a link. Sometimes images are too.
Yeah.
The more you learn. Very good. Thank you for showing us the newsletter. How about those dreaded rosters for class?
So let's talk about the roster now. We send it to you by email. So when you open your roster, you scroll down, you have the name of your students, the phone number, the email to be contacted. And on the top, you have the last update dates.
So we have some things on here that have been a little bit confusing for some. This column here is not saying that the person is new to your class. They might be new to the Literacy Council. So if this is confusing, it's very easy for us to remove that, as we don't want to do anything that makes this more stressful than it has to be. But instead of having to call us for your students' contact information, which has already been provided to you through this, connect with your students and ask them their permission for their information. Additionally, where she acknowledged that it said this is your class roster as of so-and-so date, the last time it's been updated will also be addressed here by time. We may have had this email to you on January 22nd, and on the 28th, it's suddenly been changed. So we've had to make a change on it, or we haven't gotten to the change just yet that we may have discussed in person. We have a multitude of rosters, and this is not an excuse for a lack of timeliness, but perhaps if you can see it, it can give you a little bit of understanding of why it might be some delays. Students come into the office, walk into the front room, ask questions, make changes, appear in people's classes without my team having an opportunity to connect with them and properly follow protocol. A deadline is usually set to get things updated, and I can guarantee anarchy breaks loose as soon as I sit down to go through these with Miss Christelle. Please continue to lend us your patience as we get these to you and provide you with updated information, especially now that we are tracking our retention more aggressively. That has always been a responsibility, but now it is a serious measure. We want to know why our students are moving classes, moving schedules, and be able to give you more accountability for this. We know that this is frustrating if you log on a computer and you look at it and then it looks like one thing and you've got different notes. If you can scroll back up to the top, and thank you for leading the newsletter. If you scroll all the way back up to the top, these details are for if you're on a computer. you cannot just go over and click that little refresh circle. This is a hard refresh of the document by pressing F5 on your keyboard. But if you're not using a computer, on your smartphones, just pull the document down and it will do a hard refresh. These are all new technology words and jargon and everything, and we're going to continue to work on these as if you all are our students so that we can help you get comfortable with that kind of technology jargon and technology wording. The reason we switched to this is because looking at, yes ma'am, go ahead.
Was there a link in the newsletter to get you into your roster? How
Yes,
did you
no,
do it?
not email.
This roster, I individually emailed them to you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be an individual email sent this past Monday, and we had so many changes with students on Monday, it did not occur. So we are behind on an update.
But it's the one that came through the email.
Yes, it is. It'll individually be sent. Hello, hello.
Students still get a card.
Yes, they
When
do.
they show up in your classroom
They
without
must have a card.
They shouldn't be there.
Absolutely.
None
They are
of mine
still,
had a card.
none of
I've never got a card from my students.
outreach, yes.
Carry it. No, I'm at,
Yes, she's outreach.
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 So sometimes it can be different for y'all, but
I'm
no.
at Living Word.
Usually they have a blue card or whatever the color is for that academic year
I didn't know
At Emily Court.
at Emily Court.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And she's like, oh, but it lets us know because students do. Yesterday I was doing a demo of a class with a new instructor and a student was watching in the class and then I turned towards the board and turned around and she was in a seat. So they do come in and it just appeared. But that allows us an opportunity to track. This makes it easier on our office volunteers to be able to look at something and say, oh, well, this is what the roster was, and I'm not logging into the Google to see it. So it does have benefits for our office volunteers and for you all to be able to navigate it this way. Yes, yes.
And you emailed this to us.
That would be emailed to the Emily Court tutors.
Oh, no.
But it hadn't been sent. No, ma'am. Your rosters are done like this as well, but you all have large classes, so it can be a little different sometimes. Yes. But this is still an ongoing development. It is nooks and crannies that will either be completely eradicated if it doesn't succeed. But most of the instructors have been very vocal about, well, this works, but you need to change this. Or they'll make a one-on-one meeting with me about, well, this is this, but that person's name is spelled incorrectly. You need to do. So it does help in accountability. All right, we are almost towards the end. There's just a couple more things we want to make sure to go over. So I want to be able to leave the 2 o'clock to 2:15 time for open discussion. So we can turn on the lights if it helps, or if it gives you a headache or it's of no benefit, don't worry. But one of the things that we talked about, two of the things that we talked about previously at our first meeting like this was our concerns about the curriculum, how we were approaching the multitude of books we have and whatnot, and some suggestions, not solutions, but suggestions of how to remedy that. And then the second thing was making sure that you have opportunities to connect with others who teach the same level as you, and possibly selecting some lead volunteers. Lead volunteers for the office would be helpful in helping us with training them on new things. Lead volunteers for those at ESL or basic literacy or GED are just there to be a point person to help answer questions so that it doesn't fully rest on me and I can continue to use the team to help push whatever the initiative of that week, day, or month is towards our overall fiscal year and academic year goals. When we looked at our textbooks, and I mentioned that we have multiple ones. We have Ventures that are from Cambridge. We have Journey to Success, Challenger, Step Forward, a few others as well for the GED purposes and whatnot. Once I started looking at it from a fiscal standpoint, everyone, with us having a relationship with ProLiteracy, albeit the other books have been utilized in different ways, we definitely want to deeply consider streamlining ourselves in the direction of the books that come from the relationship we professionally established. We profess on paper and in certification that we are hard advocates of ProLiteracy, and the majority of our materials come from them. But as prices are changing and opportunities for those who are employed or looking for work might be a little bit more difficult for a moment, we want to take into consideration things that allow us to be able to develop a proper reserve as well as be able to get the books at a point that works for the students. Most of our students are already comfortable with books that are $35. However, those of you who took on Step Forward and used that for demo purposes, those books, the textbook and the workbook combined, can be upwards to $50 now. The price has increased. I don't have the integrity to look someone in the eye who struggled to pay $35 to enroll and say, by the way, your book is $50, card or cash. That's concerning to me. With our venture books, they do work in quite a ways for some, basic literacy for the most part, some of our lower level classes. But have you actually had a moment to intimately look at challengers and look at Journey to Success and see how they're established? I don't believe you have. So next week, what I will be providing to you, which what has been provided to the new tutors, they received a document that had all of the links for you to see actual samples of each item. In past orientations, we used to take time to sit down and kind of look over and answer general questions. But now we're providing them the time to be able to look at the table of contents, the correlations in terms of national standards for the tests that we use, and see how that aligns with it so that it makes more sense. Those books can cost us about $21 internally. And if we assess that at a $35 fee, that provides us the opportunity where if someone is looking for book scholarships, that perhaps we might be able to utilize more. Or if we've estimated when we're developing our budget that we're only enrolling 496 people and we get an influx of something, as we have experienced this academic year, praise God for that, but we get an experience of that, we have additional ways to be able to support quicker turnaround with books. That's not to say our grants don't substantiate some of that. They do. But we also are a corporation, albeit nonprofit. That just simply means we don't retain the money thereafter. But we want to make sure we're creating a cushion that allows us to be able to have possible snacks for these once-a-month meetings instead of just the drinks that you brought in on your own, or being able to have a little bit more of a different experience when we have those things set to the side. Keeping the books at $35 would be suitable and a little bit more respectful to their budgets. I don't necessarily believe with the increase that we've seen with the prices that we could get it any lower than that. We've looked and we definitely could at one point in time, but many of them have increased their book prices or are anticipating to and have informed us that they will be in the next semester. So I want to make sure that next week you have an opportunity to look at those things a little bit more and see what you would feel most comfortable with. You will also be receiving copies of things that have already been created with other instructors. We have an instructor who teaches Ventures level 3, I believe, or level 4, and she wanted to find a way to use the same book to start working on grammar and writing. And we sat down and created a curriculum based off the book so that the students wouldn't have to purchase something different, but it gives them a whole new way to look at chapters 1 through 12 in a different light. So you'll be able to see how that has been utilized by working with other team members and other volunteers who have ideas on curriculum development and what has already been created as samples for you to look over. As shared in December, this is not something that's just going to happen overnight. I want your input, your feedback, your insight. You all are exceedingly, horrifyingly educated in so many ways. Do not rest it all on me. I'm the young tadpole in this. That wouldn't be the most effective way of approaching this. The other thing that I want you all to think about when you're thinking of potential leads or other workshops, as you all have shared other things that you're interested in, is who you would be comfortable with in terms of spreading the word. You might be here today or you might be online and you're like, oh yeah, I heard that they're going to do that workshop. That's great. And then you never follow up with the person who stepped up to volunteer her time or his time to do so. That makes it a little difficult for us to ensure we're all getting what we need so that you feel like you're not being left behind and you're not out of the loop. So some of you have extra amazing skills that you're willing to share and instruct on, and we don't want to miss that. We don't want to miss you having opportunities with Christelle to be able to work on digital literacy, even if it's something as simple as this is how you update apps. We're not in a space to judge. We're in a space to educate. Or I work in basic literacy and ESL is great, but that's not my needs. And I want to know how to approach these students differently. Well, this volunteer is stepping up. Or AI, I'm scared of it, but I want to know. I don't know if I'll use it. We have another volunteer who wants to do that. So please, once we have open forum, please take those things into consideration about your time and your availability as people are stepping up to help move us forward in different ways. they're passionate about what they do just as much as you are, and we all want to help one another. And it can't all just be in a newsletter. Sometimes it has to be in person or on the phone or in Zoom. All right, I am done talking so that we can use the time to make whatever notes or whatnot. Do you mind opening up another tab I'm sorry, go here? Yep, and then go to home. That way I can type whatever is shared. And we're gonna go to recent. And we're gonna pick the one with me holding the coffee. Double click it. There we go. So I'm gonna move out of the way, but whatever is conversed about, I will type it. Some of you have had the amazing experience of hearing me type. It's a scary thing, but I type 114 words a minute, so I can type what you're saying. Not always accurately. I think you gave me too much credit. All right. So please, the floor is yours, everyone, as well as those of you in the Zoom chat. If you have things that you would like to share, you can type it in the chat, or you're more than welcome to unmute. Thank you for your presence, even if it is online. You've been engaged the whole time, and we really appreciate it.
So just to clarify, the two places that we need to look for information is on the portal, the Literacy Center portal, and still our email, right? Because that's where the newsletter comes.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are the two things we need to be checking.
Yes, ma'am.
To sign up for the portal, it looks like we need an organization number. Where do we get that?
You will receive that at the end when we get ready to leave. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
The rosters that we're going to be getting them, right?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
haven't gotten them yet.
No, not an updated one.
What if there are any students still on there that aren't coming anymore?
We'll want to make sure to touch base on that so that Ms. Marvelin can make proper notes for the retention outreach. For retention, which I didn't get into proper detail about, we are making sure to contact them at least 3 times before we have to completely write it off. But some are on vacation, we've learned. Some just simply got another job and forgot. And having those conversations and those touch points versus just sending them an email that they're not going to open, actively giving them the calls and whatnot and tracing it, it allows us to at least see what efforts do work and don't. Sometimes the students tell their teacher something and they don't tell the staff. Or sometimes they tell the staff and we tell the tutor and it's news to you. So we're just trying to find a way to unify that so that the communication is clear across the board. But if there's some errors that are on there and they're incorrect, just let me know.
So we should tell you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
And Marvelyn is using the attendance sheet.
Yes, she is. She has the binder right now. Yes, ma'am. We do keep all attendance sheets, and we are going through November, December right now and comparing it to what you all have been turning in this month for January.
I wanted to clarify what I think I heard.
Yes, ma'am.
That grammar and writing portion you just mentioned. Was that, you said that was level 3 or level 4? Could it be 3 and 4?
I think we made it where it kind of works with both Venture 3 and 4, but it's adaptable.
And so how are we going to learn about that?
I'm going to share that as a link, and that, I'm not a link, I'm sorry, a PDF attachment next week's newsletter for you all to be able to really look over it and provide feedback.
You said something about the citizenship and that there was going to be something more happening with that, or?
We are upping our initiative for that, and it will hit the ground running relatively hard in March.
Initiative to get the students into it?
Yes, yes.
I'm still confused as to whether you have to go to one of these training sessions that the State Department or whoever it is puts on.
Certainly.
To teach that.
Last week, we knew that Dallas was the upcoming location for teacher training for those who are interested in teaching citizenship. I went on the website this morning and all locations have been removed. Yes. Wow. All locations have been removed. However, we are allowed, as I called and spoke to a proper representative, we are allowed to teach citizenship, but at some point in your time as a volunteer for that, you will take proper training to learn the protocol and things that they want you to specifically identify. But again, that was checked at 10:15 this morning because I was hoping I could at least kind of allude to that, and that changed the agenda because they've removed it.
But we do have trained individuals in our at Literacy Council. So Ashley is trained, Sally is trained, who else? Kathy is trained.
I found at least 3 websites online
Mhm.
that are excellent training programs for that citizenship test.
Let me know.
And so maybe the people that are trained here, they went through the USCS that matches the questions that actually asked, could do a training for the people that are interested in.
These websites that I found address the test that is taken and all aspects of it, the questions that are asked, the interviews. I found 3 sites.
curriculum?
So
or-
is this a federal program?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's their curriculum.
Actually,
One moment, I'm gonna, so they can see the notes I'm typing. I don't think they're interested in just looking at me. There we are. That way they can see that. Okay, yes, ma'am, my apologies.
so this was a federal program?
There has always been a program through the USCS, and they provide trainings usually twice a year in different areas. And one was coming up in March that would have taken place in Dallas, and we would have been in a space to be able to discuss going there for training for those interested. There are some websites that do free training, but that's the official big deal one. But again, as of 10:15 this morning, they removed the date. So we don't have any details about when it'll be updated or why it was removed. But until then, our in-house people who have been trained on it can always have some moments to discuss how we could possibly approach training others for it in the meantime. I'm going to make this larger for those who are on Zoom and just overall, because again, I'm blind. There we are.
Is there information about spring registration for next fall yet? And when does that come out?
Certainly. On our calendar, our registration days for spring, they're still going on in spring. I'm sorry, for summer, they're going to start May 1st. Spring classes in May 17th. We do not have our kickoff day
I'm
for.
sorry, I meant for fall.
For fall?
I'm sorry.
You can,
I misspoke.
it's okay.
Next year, for next fall.
Assume in July. The specific day isn't set just yet because we're still waiting for Fort Bend ISD to confirm their calendar. And we had a whirlwind of struggle with this calendar because of the leap year last year, and we just do not want to take you all through that again. But July would be for fall. We have started promotion for summer for current enrolled students. It's only for those who are enrolled. And that already started conversations day before yesterday, so Monday.
So the satellite doesn't have some of the people can still come here, right?
I'm sorry?
If the satellite, outreach site does not have summer classes, their students could come here.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
summer If they wanted to.
Yes, ma'am, they could.
Okay. That's been in different years, so.
Any other questions or thoughts or things?
Well, this is something I do. So on the attendance sheet, so at the beginning of the new year, well, I create my own attendance sheets on Excel. I'm an accountant, okay?
Yeah.
So it's real easy for me. And so I pull up like what they send. So I have the names and then, you know, like you see it. But then at the end, it doesn't print is I take the emails, I take the phone numbers, and then at some point I get the scores. And I can print that off for me, and the first day of class, or however many days it takes to get all the students in, I have them double check that the email and the phone numbers are correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do.
My students said, can we do WhatsApp? And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard of it, so they said it's up on WhatsApp, which I was like, I feel so progressive. But you can also communicate individually with the people on that, which I didn't know, so, yeah. So that's how we tend to communicate.
Whatever you're comfortable with, that is a good tool, the WhatsApp. Some people prefer texting, so if you don't mind using your personal cell phone for texting your students. I did when I taught, I would just share my cell number with them and they would communicate with me if they were not gonna be able to make it, or if they were running late, or if we had to cancel, and it was a quick, just, you know, a little group that I had already created of my students, and I could just send a one text to everyone.
Yeah,
And then document, of course, on their attendance sheet that, why that person or why class was canceled or for that date, but.
So Martha, could you put when we're into the portal for portal ProLiteracy work, can you put a sample of your Excel spreadsheet in the portal?
Well, it looks, just like the attendance sheet, but I've got more
Right.
going
with
on the
extra,
side.
Yeah.
And when I print off the attendance sheet to turn in,
You just.
y'all don't see that.
Right.
But should I need to, well, I have everybody in my phone, but.
Could we add it, could there be a space on the ones we get from you that then we could add it ourselves, so y'all don't have to do everything? We could add the individual's phone number and email, or do they not want that? I mean, you have it here anyway, so there's no problem turning it in with our attendance sheet.
I have all my students loaded right now here. And I've asked them if they're not going to be here, just out of courtesy, let me know.
Yes.
And I have those that do, those that don't. But I also have those students that will ask me, what did I miss today? And I will let them know.
So
But I'm more comfortable with texting than the others.
I know that one of our videos was made by Ms. Jeanette during the summer of showing how to fill out the attendance sheet. One of the things that we noticed is that we have different symbols all over the place. Some have X's, some have checks, some have P, some have C. So I just want to make sure to embed that in next week's newsletter again for you all to be able to be up to par on what the expectation would be. That way it's continuity in how it's written.
How do you want it done?
Yeah, that would, well, I'll make sure, as we're at the end of time now, I'll make sure that that's provided next week. So embed the video about the attendance sheet.
Or an example.
Yes, it's a full example. It's just her narrating and I'm holding the camera and she's just showing you, it's not her, it's the actual document. And she's pointing out bit by bit what should be on there. So no, it's okay. So it is 2:15. We want to make sure to wrap up on time, but before we leave there, oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for being a part of it. We want to ensure that we let you know about some things that are coming up. I have tag teamed my favorite instructor, Sally, check in on some opportunities to be able to do some workshops with you all next month, but we want to be considerate of your time and hers because you all are busy. So we'll coordinate what's best. I would love to have you participate in that. I am going to also tag team with Mike on some things about AI to slowly slide you into that experience so that you don't feel overwhelmed. And in next month volunteer meeting, without a shadow of a doubt, we are starting it by selecting our leads, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot do it all. And it's not fair to you all to not have someone right in the same space as you in your classrooms who has those same experiences, who can help you and give you what you need. Let me give you the org number and then we are all free. For those of you who are interested in joining onto the good old portal, let me see where I put it. This one is Ruby's. This is in mine. 1 second. Give me just a second. 1 second. Or do you have it on your phone right now? You don't have your phone with you.
Who, me?
No. Mike. I'll grab the book so I can tell you.
It's in our
Yes.
team's chat.
I'll have to just grab my book because that's Ruby's laptop. So it won't take long. It's just a second. Walking out.
So this is for the member portal.
Yes. ProLiteracy.
What
yes.
portal is this?
ProLiteracy.
ProLiteracy.
It's a different portal than them.
Yes. I know. You wouldn't have to slash, but I think it's.
Yes. I think it's .org, I believe. All right, everyone. The ProLiteracy code, and I will make sure to include that in next week too. The ProLiteracy code, it starts with ORG. It wouldn't matter. They actually have the ORG already on there. 031921.
Say it again.
031921.
And to get in is ProLiteracy.org.
And the proper website for it is quite convoluted. So I will make sure to just include that, or you can go to last week's newsletter and just go, not last week, this week's newsletter, and go to create student account or create staff teacher account. And it'll have you fill in the information. But the link is that picture. And the link is also underlined, as we learned in our workshop, right there. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'm gonna turn Zoom off now, everyone. Thank you all so much. Have a good one.